today. I'm excited to be welcoming a long-term friend of ITW, advocate for Global Women in Telco and Tech Initiative, as amongst other things, Naaz Bax, who is our head of marketing for Seaborn. So hi, Naaz. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Georgia.
And happy International Women's Day. So I love your background, of course. I know we were just talking about that. And picking on that a little bit and thinking of this year's theme with the Choose to Challenge theme, how are you choosing to kind of embody that theme this year?
So Choose to Challenge, is, as you said, the theme for this year. And it's this year, when we talk about International Women's Day and gender equality and that kind of thing, right? That's a huge goal. That's a huge goal for every year, right? Every day of every year. And so for me, it's a conscious decision to challenge myself, to kind of learn my own unconscious biases. Where am I seeing those biases in my own life? Really getting to grips with that. And that's, when you get to my age, that is a challenge of itself, because you are, and you don't realize it until you actually look at yourself internally to say, okay, really, these really are things that I just never even knew were unconscious biases in my life. But in terms of like the smaller goals, I'm a list maker. So I will make lists, and I think we all need little wins, right? So yes, we want to change the world and we want gender equality and we want all of those things. But I think, especially after the last year that we've had, we all need little wins. And sometimes it's something as simple as, I I took a shower today, or, I did laundry today. I didn't kill anyone today. No, when you're all working from home and schooling from home, sometimes the win is literally just getting through the day. So, I'm a list maker, so I like to be able to make my little check marks and say, I got this. But it's really important for all of us. We have lofty goals. We all should. But, sometimes taking the little win is just as important as the big one. So that's my thing is, look for the wins where you can get them. Gender equality, and women's equality obviously is a huge topic. But yes, that's where I'm at.
Absolutely. And I think it's such a good point as well. And even kind of bringing it back to the theme also, even like the choosing to kind of accept those little wins. I myself find that a challenge sometimes, especially kind of in the current light of everything, just to say no, that is a good thing. And it's okay that the small thing is what I'm happy about today. But yeah, and then, and talking about kind of, small things to be happy about and bringing it in light of kind of the push towards gender equality and moving the needle. Are there kind of any positives from our industry that you're celebrating this IWD?
I think so. I think we've seen, especially in this last year, a lot of women step up. A lot of women sort of raise their voices in the industry, right? So we're seeing, while we have seen some, of the bias in meetings on Zoom, you still see that. You still see it on different platforms. We're weeding that out, I think. We're really weeding that out in terms of everyone has a voice. We're all equally here. We all have this screen fatigue, but we're all stepping up. So I've really seen, and especially when it became such a known issue, I think people sort of revisited okay, what am I doing? How am I putting myself across? So yes, I've definitely seen, changes. I've seen, as I said, people just stepping up, and the positives are that women are front and center, making their voices heard. We're having these conversations. International Women's Day has been a thing for a long time, but because we're in this, COVID world, we're seeing a lot more of these things being celebrated online, and it's being, pushed around boardrooms. It's being talked about, at higher levels than it would be just in a normal year, when you call normal, whatever that is now. But it's really positive that we're seeing these huge shifts, I think, in gender equality, right? We're not having to hide it anymore, if that makes sense. It's out there front and center. So I think that's a positive, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone is literally in our homes this whole year, literally. So it's great that that's kind of a win that we've got from the industry. And then I guess kind of I think you've already touched on it, but maybe even widening it up because of course when International Women's Day is such a great point to talk about gender equality, but also it brings up the point of hey, let's bring front and center general. Not general, but the other types of diversity that we are advocating for and are looking to reach kind of equity for. So, how are you seeing the conversation for, I guess, wider inclusion? Where are we seeing that head now, especially because it's kind of been accelerated by the pandemic?
I think we really want to look at the different types of inclusion. We really are seeing, again, it's examining some bias. It's examining where those biases fall, not only in our workplace, but in our homes, perhaps, and learning what they are. Now, it takes time to get to grips with how many different types of inclusion we're dealing with. It takes time to come to grips with what kinds of diversity we're looking at. So we are seeing, though, openness to learning about those different things. We're seeing an openness to equality, the LGBTQ plus community. We're seeing diversity in things like disability. We're seeing when a lot of times when we used to talk about diversity, it was always a race thing. It was always that kind of way. But we're seeing it in so many different ways now. That diversity and inclusion and belonging are not just color of your skin. It's not just male, female, it's all of those other things that fall in between. And an openness to learning about that and an openness for people to embrace it for whatever it may be and whatever it may look like. But I think it really places the onus on each of us individually to learn, which, we've had an opportunity to do, I think, because it's become front and center, because it's become a thing. It's not a fad. This is not something that is going away. And I think that's what we've realized in this last, 2 years, especially in the last year, where we have had the time to sort of delve into these issues that have been raised and embracing those things. But again, speaking to, maybe our unconscious bias, speaking to, what we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And right. And so I'm very fortunate. I have a child who will tell me, well, always has told me what I don't know, but has really taken the time to educate me in, differences and how people are seen and how people speak about themselves, and then them and they and she and her and and I would see that online and I was like, I don't understand, and this was early on because labeling people to me was another thing that you don't do. But it's a choice and I understand why now, but it took this new generation to say, this is really something that you need to look at, where we embraced it. But, we as a society take time to embrace new things. So we're all trying our best to go at breakneck speed, but sometimes it just takes a little time to really sort of foster that in a work environment, a home environment, all of the different societal pieces that take time to come.
Yeah. And I think you really hit the nail on the head there with like the key to it being kind of your openness to learn and to receive and to be educated as well. But, kind of also having that level of curiosity to go out yourself, ask questions, look at it, from different perspectives, like you have and have those conversations. So, I mean, it's great that, kind of we're hopefully getting to a point where we are having more and more of those across different verticals, which is fantastic. And then kind of speaking of kind of just communities and talking out more. I know you work a lot with us, and you're a member of the Suboptic Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Working Group as well. And I know you guys have been working a lot on that over the past year. Do you want to shed some light on some of the projects that maybe you guys are championing?
Absolutely. So we have a great group. We're very fortunate that we have this amazing group of people who have come together to work on DIB, and we're even more excited probably to have young people in the team, because we need, to break this out into, the younger generation. But we are very much focusing on mentorship. We are very much focusing on, we really need to bring along the next level of professionals in our industry, and pairing them with, pairing mentees and mentors who can work together a couple of hours a month, so that we really can share this really important information that we have. Because, as I've said previously, we have great resources in the subsea space. We have amazing minds. But due to that, when the tech bubble burst, we lost sort of a good decade of people coming into the industry. So we have a real sort of gap in the knowledge base in terms of age. So we want to really bridge that gap and share the expertise that we have before it ages out of the industry. So we are actively promoting the mentorship program through Suboptic, to really bring companies on board and mentor. We're looking for mentees, we're looking for mentors. So if anybody's interested, we're happy to share any information we can. But it's really important across the field. And it's not just, engineering. It's not just, operations, or, it's all the different fields that go into subsea. It's finance, it's marketing, it's, everything across the board, because they all work hand in hand. So that's what we're working on, and we're really focused on for this year, and for obviously the Suboptic event coming up next year.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think it's so great, and it's such a good point. I think subsea as well is just one of those industries where the more you learn about it, the more it does actually, prove to be quite interesting and exciting. With it's one that I didn't know about until obviously coming into capacity and being, exposed to the telecom side of things. So it is a really great kind of industry to be a part of. So it's fantastic that you guys are kind of passing that on and bringing more people in, which is great. Okay, and then just to kind of wrap things up for the audience, kind of keeping in mind the mood of the day and things, any kind of parting thoughts or advice for our listeners today?
Yeah, so, choose to challenge yourself this International Women's Day, this year, this month, this week, because it takes all of us to do it. It takes all of us to make the change. And we've got all the studies, we've done all the research, we know how important diversity is, we know how important inclusion is. And we really just have to get out and do it. And as challenging as that is, we can do it. We just have to choose to change.
Great. Fantastic. Well, Naaz, thank you so much for joining me today. And I know I will see you soon as we begin planning ITW, especially the Inclusion First track featuring Global Women in Telco and Tech. So excited to have you join us today, and thank you again.
Thanks so much, Georgia. Appreciate it.